ask me why. Don't ask me why. I told you once before that I don't know. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why.
So, joining us for our latest Aid Asks interview in our player series, I'm delighted to welcome Slough Town player coach Lee Togwell. Togs, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good. How's the family?
Family are well, yeah. Keeping me busy. My daughter, who's 15 months, is keeping us on our toes. So, and I've also got a pregnant wife to look after too. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I must ask though, how are the in-laws? Because I think if I don't ask, they'll be a bit annoyed with me, won't they?
Yeah, they're good. They'll be probably the first to watch this. No, they love it. They love when they can't come to their away games. Yeah, they tune into Rebels Radio, and I think they ask for a shout out every week from you. But yeah, they're all right. Thank you.
Good. So you've got a few questions. I asked people to put some questions to you. Nothing too tough. So they obviously like you or they're scared of you. It's one of the two. But let's start with the playoff situation and how it is at the moment. We still haven't heard anything about the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's going to be some kind of cut-off point where they're going to have to kind of stop and say, you can't have the playoffs after a certain date because teams will lose players. They could get players from another club. If someone's wealthy, they could sign players who have been released. Do you think there's going to be like a cut-off point where they can just say, look, we can't do it this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think taking into consideration, the situation across the world, everybody's health for me has got to come first. And I just can't see, even if the playoffs was to happen and it would be behind closed doors, for the safety of like the fans and what have you, but then what about like the players who obviously have been in close contact, and does that mean that they get tested? And I just, I'm obviously open to any suggestions which may occur, but I can't see it happening if I'm honest.
And I guess you've also got to take into account, you guys as players, you want to play because you're in that position, and should we have a season next year, you might not be in that position, so you want to grab it when you can. But you've also got to look at maybe like the referees as well, because are they going to want to be surrounded by 30, 40 players on a match day and whatever?
Yeah, exactly that. And obviously with the contact that may happen, and you're going back to your family, and obviously who you want to keep safe and well as well. So it'd be interesting to see. But if there is, then for sure there should be a cut-off point. Will it happen? We'll see.
And we can tell from the other player interviews that you're obviously working the guys quite hard while you're off. Tell us a little bit about your workouts and how tough are they?
They're tough. So we do HIIT sessions, so high intensity interval sessions. A lot of them are time based, so it doesn't matter too much on your fitness levels because you push yourself to the best of your ability. But they're tough. They are tough. And I think once you've got all the players on the screen in front of you and the management and the physio, like everybody's been involved, there's obviously then competition as well. So, you're pushing yourself against each other, which has been fun.
So not something for me then. You'd must be kill me off if I did.
No, I'm sure you'd be absolutely fine. Like I said, you work yourself to the best of your ability. So.
I haven't got much ability. You should know that by now. I want to talk to you about your role at Slough as a player coach. You obviously work at an academy and you see all kind of people come in. How difficult is it to be to bring something new in as a coach? Because I've seen, I think at the end of last season, you've got those kind of like bungee bands that go around the legs and you use for stretching.
Yeah.
And didn't see many teams in it. I've seen you guys do it, and now you see a lot more teams using that kind of stuff. Is it really difficult to bring something new to the training sessions each time?
It is difficult, and obviously you want to avoid boredom and like you don't want it to be tedious for the players. You want to keep them as entertained as you can. So to try and find new methods is challenging, but then the resources out there with regards to YouTube and series on Netflix and things like that, it's becoming a lot more easier for myself and other coaches to be able to include different techniques and methods within the type of training.
But then I guess is if you take a technique that maybe no one else has seen and you're at a game and then the opposition coach looks at that and goes, oh, that's pretty good, I might nick that. Yeah. You're stuck, aren't you?
Yeah. I was, when I got into coaching, my tutor once said that a good coach is a good thief, because you steal ideas from everybody. So, and then you make it your own. And I'll admit it, I have stolen some ideas, but they seem to be working. So, yeah.
How tough is it for you, because you've got an academy, you see players come in, and some players will have an abundance of talent, but talent can only get you so far. You've got to have a mental side as well. Is there a real big side to the mental side, and how much can you actually affect it?
I think the mental side is huge. It's one of the most important factors. Like you said, there are a lot of players out there who show good ability and good potential, however, don't necessarily maximise their potential purely because of their mindset. And how much do I affect it? It's hard. It is hard. There's so many issues, so many factors from their personal life outside of actually what you see, which could contribute to their mindset and mentality. So you want to be there, obviously, as a coach to help them as much as you can. But if that person doesn't want it, then it becomes pretty difficult for myself and other coaches to be able to maximise their potential. It's got to come from within.
So someone like Dan, who's all over Twitter doing these personal training sessions and stuff like that, that's kind of what you want to see, is someone during this time is pushing themselves, trying to get better and better, rather than sitting at home doing a little bit of a workout. Young players like that, they need to push themselves, don't they?
Definitely, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so no hope for me then. I can't even get off the sofa. So how did you get the role at Sale then? You've got the academy. Did you just one time just turn around to Bakes and Unders and said, that's really rubbish, I can do better than
that? No, not that quite. So how did it happen? They'd asked, obviously they knew my role of my job outside of football, and occasionally it'd be like, oh, Togs, do you mind taking a warm up? And it's like we spoke about earlier, different methods and different techniques. I'd try and introduce different warm-up methods every week or every other week, and then just within discussion with Bakes and Unders, I forget how many years ago it was now, but one pre-season they then approached me and said, look, we like what you're doing, would you fancy taking on the role as player coach? And it was, they put it to me that I'd be doing exactly my same role, I'd be able to concentrate on football, but if there was anything that I wanted to introduce within training sessions, then I had kind of license to do so. And just use that as a stepping stone, and kind of got to where I am now, where things seem to be working out.
I'm very lucky. I've come down the scene. Sometimes I've been at training, just doing stuff around the club, and I've seen some of the training sessions that you do. How much does it vary from like a Premier League setup? Because I've seen sometimes you do the full goals on a half pitch, and it seems to be like 6 against 6 or something. And I've seen it on Sunderland Till I Die that they do that kind of stuff. Are you stealing ideas from the Premier League as well?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we're a little bit. Well, we're a lot different to Premier League clubs. However, with regards to numbers, it's we have sometimes 12 training, sometimes have the full squad of 18, and occasionally you don't know even on the day of planning your session. So you have to be willing to adapt. And the sessions that I do put together, are, if you like, stolen from Premier League clubs, from other social media sites where I think, okay, that links to the style of play that we'd like to play or the team that we're going to be playing against, and try and incorporate that within training.
Is that what you do then? If you were say when we played against Weymouth, you'd look at Weymouth and think of maybe a role play or something that you could put in if that kind of scenario came against Weymouth, something different to as you would do Dulwich Hamlet?
Yes. So the procedure that we have, and I'm sure they won't mind me saying, is I think between Bakes and Unders, they'll watch the game. I'll let them fight out who decides that, who takes the praise for it. But yeah, they'll watch the game. They'll inform me, okay, the team that we're going to be playing against play this position, play this formation. They maybe have some strengths. They maybe have some weaknesses in these areas. They kind of give me that information and then leave it down to me to be able to design a session. I'll then feed back to them to say, okay, this is what I've got. How does it sound? How many players have we got? And yeah, through all of our ideas, we then put together a session in preparation for the game. Although we do take into consideration the teams that we're playing against, I think it's vital as well that we look at our strengths, how we want to play and develop our way of our mentality, our style of play.
Yeah, stamping your authority on the game. And
exactly.
Okay. And when you took over as player coach, how did the other players feel? They obviously know, that you've been doing the warm-ups and stuff. Did you have any, because obviously they're used to different things, you've come along and at a fairly young age, I should say, start coaching and bossing around some of the older lads like Mark Nisbet.
Yeah.
Did he take it well?
To be honest, they were as good as gold. They've been really kind of responsive, really complimentary of the sessions that have been put on as well. So, which is good. Probably the only difficult one is my brother. Obviously, being older and telling him what to do can be a bit tricky. But no, he's fine, and it gives me some ideas as well from his experiences. So.
Yeah, Sam came up on quite a lot of the questions that came through. So as you brought him up, let's get Sam out of the way. How difficult is it playing with your older brother, who's not being funny? He's had a more experienced football career than you. Is it easy? Yeah,
it is easy. It's no difficult. There's no difficulty whatsoever. He's with the experience, with the knowledge that he's gained over his playing career, it's brilliant to play alongside. And yeah, I'm learning as I'm going a lot. As I'm playing, I'm learning as a coach. I'm learning as a player. Different aspects of the game. So there's nothing between us when we play. It's absolutely fine, to be honest.
And is it the first time that you've played in the same football team as your brother?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, first time.
And were you instrumental in getting Sam to Slough? How did that occur?
Yeah, he wasn't renewing his contract at Eastleigh, and we'd just got promoted. He'd been to watch the semi-finals and games throughout the season when he could, and obviously he liked what he saw. I mentioned to them Bakes and Unders that my brother's contract's he's out of contract. It's not going to be renewed, so there's potentially an opportunity for him to come along. And they offered him a trial, so he came down, and he was successful with his trial. So.
And I know that Lenchi said in his interview that Sam's really good in the dressing room as well. Does that allow you then time to just concentrate on the coaching of the players and the warm-up?
Yeah.
Knowing that, Sam can jump in after Bakes and Unders and cover that side of the chat?
Exactly that, yeah. It shares a responsibility within the change room then as well. So it's helpful.
Sorry, my computer just crashed in. Sorry. So I've got to admit, so also I've been involved with the club for a while, and when we were playing at Beaconsfield and you were playing for Burnham or Beaconsfield, I'd see your car with its number plate in the car park, and I'd think, oh no, he's not playing, is he? He's not on the team sheet. A lot of the questions were asking about your contribution to the football club. I always didn't like it because I knew that you never ever had a bad game and you always gave 100%. Is that you in a nutshell?
Yeah, I think so. every game, every training session, just give it everything that I've got, knowing that when I walk off the pitch, I've left everything out there. And it seems to work for me and seems to work for the team. So,
Have you ever actually had a bad game?
yeah, I think. Well, no, I think I have obviously had a bad game, but yeah, not too many, which is a nice thing to say, I think.
I don't think you'd ever had one against Slough at all. So you played for the Burnham side. How was that? Because it wasn't a big side of, money people. You all seem to be like local lads who got together. And what was the team spirit like with that Burnham side when you were constantly thrashing Slough every week? And
yeah, no, it was fantastic. I'd say the changing room at Slough within the last couple of years matches that, if not, betters it. It's what Bakes and Unders have done really well is putting together a team which boosts morale and the changing room. And it was the same at Burnham, obviously, when we were successful and won the league there. Like you said, it wasn't a high-profile players. It was a low budget, but everybody would work for each other. And we were successful from that. And then obviously moving to Slough. The first year, when I arrived, it was maybe obviously new arrivals, players had already been there. It wasn't necessarily the best morale within the changing room. But then as the years have gone on, it's been boosted, which has been successful for all of us.
so you mentioned that the Slough. Which did you enjoy more, being in the Burnham team, underdogs, tight-knit community, or being in the Slough side where you're maybe a little bit more professional now with the likes of Sam and then Ryan coming from the Pro League and Scotty, kind of bringing that more professional kind of attitude? Which was better?
Which was better? That's tough. I would go with, do you know what? I like being the underdog, and similar to, so the season, obviously, when we won the league with Burnham was fantastic. Being the underdogs throughout the year. And I think it's the same with Slough when we've been in the FA Cups and when we have, the last 2 years in the Conference South has been fantastic. And I'd consider us, underdogs especially within the first season. And so when we were rolling teams over, it was a fantastic feeling.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you, when you had to play Slough, did you up your game because it was it was a bigger team, bigger fans? Did you always up your game against Slough?
Nah, not really. Like any game, like you said, every game that I'd go into, whether it was top of the league, bottom of the league, I'd give it everything. And it didn't matter if there was 150 fans watching, 100 fans, 10 fans. I'd like to think the manager knew what they were getting from me every game that I played.
Now, I know that you've seen this because I know you've liked this tweet that came from Mark. But he said that in the 17-18 season, when we got promoted, he said that you were an outstanding player and that he now calls N'Golo Kante the French Togwell. How about that for a compliment?
That's very complimentary, yeah. I'm not too sure about my accent or my French, but that's a nice thing to hear. Because I don't often get praise because, like you said, I haven't scored too many goals within my career. So when somebody then appreciates your hard work, then it spurs me on even more to go again for the next game.
Do you remember your last goal for Slough? Or do you want me to give you a gentle reminder?
Obviously, it was last season. We'll go with, was it at home? Did Sam and I score in the same game? Or
you did?
It was 2-2. Who did we play? No, I don't know who we played.
St Albans, 30th of March.
Okay.
So it's been a year.
Wow.
So we won't talk about your goal scoring exploit. Although you have got a fair few goals for now, haven't you? So
yeah, a fair few. Not enough.
Not enough. How's this season been for you as well? Because you picked up a little injury, didn't you, during the season? Did it take a while to come back?
Yeah, it did. And that's my first proper injury. I broke my leg when I was 18, and then since then I touch wood, you know, I didn't have any injuries. Little niggles, little kind of kicks, but no real like muscle strains. So then to have that, which for me I see it as a major injury, it was difficult to take because I'd never been in that situation before. What did help was being a coach, because instead of being in the physio room having to do like rehab, I was able to be outside with the lads still, putting on sessions, and still, you know, I felt part of the group. So that helped mentally and psychologically. I think maybe I came back, I was in denial. I probably came back a little bit too soon. And in the first couple of games, I was carrying it a little bit. Wasn't quite ready. But managed to play through, managed to get through it. And fingers crossed, all is okay now and will be for the future.
I'm trying to remember, because you didn't play in the first game at Arbor Park, even though that was your first season with us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Were you injured then?
No, I was in Las Vegas. Yeah, with my wife and my in-laws.
I was looking and I was thinking, I'm sure it doesn't say anything about you being injured. You've got a fair enough reason then. I guess it's not every time you get married, is it, eh? What a game to miss. So I want to talk about what you think is your best position, because everyone that's mentioned, there's very few questions. They're all really complimentary about you, saying you're such a good player. So far this season, you've played centre midfield, right back, centre back.
Yeah.
Which is your best position for your eyes?
I would say centre midfield. For my stamina, my hard work, that's where I enjoy playing the most. However, I'll play any position for the team. I'd like to think, the fact that I've played in those positions, I think shows maybe my understanding of the game and the trust that Bakes and Unders have given me to be able to play in different positions. And sometimes a style of play maybe sometimes suits me playing at centre half, because if we're playing out from the back, then I'm able to get on the ball a little bit more and kind of start the play, which is things obviously we've worked on in training. So between them, a midfield would be my best position.
Is that influenced by a midfield partner? So would you prefer to be playing alongside, let's just try and get some rivalry between you and Sam. Would you rather Sam was in centre back, or rather centre midfield alongside you? Or would you prefer someone like Scotty Davis or Lenji?
I would prefer all players I like playing with. When I play with certain players, they give me license to do different things sometimes. So with Sam, he sits a little bit more and he protects the back four, which enables me to then push on and maybe start winning the ball back higher up the pitch. With Lenchi, he's obviously more attacking minded, so he can then go and I'll sit. So there's different roles, different responsibilities. When Sam plays behind me, I feel because of his personality, because of his knowledge of the game, he does obviously dictate a lot. So having him behind me telling me what to do all the time is helpful. Sometimes can be a little bit frustrating. I prefer playing next to him, in midfield.
So the two of you have like an understanding of each other's games, or?
Yeah, definitely. And we, even in training and when we've played at centre half together as well, you're just kind of on this like wavelength with each other, which is helpful.
And I guess, especially as a centre half pairing, that's really helpful, knowing where each other is. And
yeah, definitely.
I thought the two of you start the season when you were playing centre backs, because of the injuries we had, were outstanding.
Yeah. In fact, I don't know if Unders has mentioned to you guys, but he did some workings out, and points per game, the pairings at the centre half, apparently when we won most points was when Sam and I were at centre half, which was interesting.
I've got that down. Don't you worry about that. So I wanted to ask you about the coaching role. is it something that do you want to be a coach later on in life, or do you want to be the manager? Are you the manager, like, I was going to say bakes or unders, but are you going to be the manager or the assistant? You're going to coach?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because there is a big difference between coach and manager. I like the fact that now I'm able to just, here's information of who you're going to be playing against. You design the session and out you go. Like, it's hands-on. Being a manager, I think comes more commitment, different roles with regards to being on the end of the phone, contacting players, man management skills. I'll probably, in the near future, see myself more as a coach, and then potentially, I'd then, once like football is done, then I'd like to give managing a go, but not quite yet. I'd like to concentrate on football to start.
Are you a player first then, or a coach first?
Player first, yeah, player first for sure.
Well, this is if you were manager, you could always pick yourself.
I'll do that anyway as coach.
Right, I wanted to. We'll get to some of the questions that are more bit quick fire, but
Okay.
again, Zach tweeted. He's playing Football Manager 20 or whatever it's called, Football Manager 20.
Yeah.
He wants to know, should he name his stadium the Lee Togwell Stadium or the Sir Lee Togwell Stadium?
I'd go with the first option. Lee Togwell. What is it? Lee
Togwell or the Sir Lee Togwell?
Yeah, just Lee Togwell, I think.
Yeah.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Right, let's go to some of the questions that we've had in. Aaron Couch, someone you played with at Burnham, I guess?
Yes, yeah. And he's an ex-Rebel as well, isn't he, I think? Did he play?
He might have played a couple games for us, not many. He'll still turn up at the Legends game, don't worry. Aaron wanted to know, who is the hardest player to train or coach? Is it the more flamboyant, or?
Who's the hardest? There's a few players that don't necessarily train the way they play, which can be very frustrating as a coach. Are you looking for a specific answer, a specific play?
It's up to you. If you want to put someone in it, you can do. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Slough team. Maybe someone from Burnham or Beaconsfield or something like that.
I would say I can't call someone out, unfortunately. Just the players that don't train the way that they play, they are very frustrating to coach. Yeah.
Well, I was reading the Craig Bellamy autobiography, and he was saying, because he had a load of problems with his hamstrings, when Roberto Mancini took over at Man City, he made him do double sessions.
Right.
And he turned around and said, I can't do double sessions. I'm not going to be able to play. Do you take that into account if you've got a player who's, match day is fantastic but can't train? Do you take someone like that understand that and say, right, you won't do as much this game? Or
definitely. They are, for instance, Ben Harris. He's an ideal example. His hamstrings aren't the best, and I think the fact that he probably plays 75 minutes max within a game shows that. But it's, you have to monitor loads. You have to be aware of people's even their daily routines, depending on what type of work they've been doing in the day. So they have to communicate with Alex, the physio, the management, and then they'll relay that information onto me, which helps me with the numbers when it comes to the small-sided games or the sprint work that we're doing and things like that.
Aaron also wants to know where you're going to be in 5 years. I guess he's mostly thinking that you'll be at a club and you might sign him because he'll still be around playing. But that's his question. Where will he be in 5 years?
5 years. I'd like to think I'd love to still be at Slough. When I see Manny, when I see Sam, the older players there, I think Manny is at that age and Sam's not too far away from that age. They're still doing it, still playing at this level. I think if I can keep myself in good nick, then I can't see why I can't still be there. as a player coach, maybe they're knocking on the manager's door as well.
Ooh, bakers and unders better watch out, eh? Let's go through some quick fire ones for you. The best game you played in. Doesn't have to be the Kings Lynn game.
Okay, that was brilliant. I will go with the FA Cup runs were good. Gainsborough away in the first rounds. That was the first time I'd ever reached the FA Cup first round proper. And then to go away to Gainsborough, who were a league above, and to win, quite comfortably was fantastic. The whole weekend was a weekend to remember for sure.
Does that make it a little bit the extra thing that you had a good weekend? It was a good day on the pitch and off the pitch.
It does help, but the feeling on the pitch, was just unbelievable. The fans were fantastic from the first whistle, and every time the goals went in, it was just like, wow, can't believe this is happening. Right, let's go again. Can we get another? So, that was best game to be involved. Close second was away at Merthyr when we were 4-0 down and won 5-4. That was a good feeling as well.
That was a cracking game. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that.
No.
Again, especially as we could have been 5 down before half time, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The shot hit the inside of the post and came out. Best ground you played at?
Best ground I've played at? Non-league or?
Any?
I was fortunate to play at the at Derby's old ground, the baseball grounds. When I was younger, I was like 16, 17, playing at Crystal Palace, and we played Derby in a playoff game, and that was pretty special.
Okay. Toughest opponent?
Toughest opponent. When I used to play against Brad Watkins, when he was at Aylesbury and I would have been at Burnham or Beaconsfield. Every time I played against Brad, it was always a challenge because he was playing centre mids or like behind the striker at times. So he was a tough one to play against. And then more recently, I'd say Ian Henderson at Rochdale. When we played him in the FA Cup, he was just everywhere. I thought I was quite fit, but then having to then play against him and chase him around was a challenge.
I was going to say best goal, but I think we'll forget that one for the moment. Best player you played with?
Best player I've played with? There's a long list. In the programme, when I was asked this, I said about Ryan Bird in the season that we got promoted at Burnham. He scored 44 goals or something ridiculous like that. That was pretty special. So I'd say Ryan Bird during that season.
Not because he's one of your mates as well, and he's going to rib you if you did tell that.
No. You know what? It was him and Lewis Driver. They were both playing up top, and Luda probably created all the goals for him. But because you saw Bird on the score sheet, he managed to get the move to Portsmouth, and Luda maybe didn't get as much of the praise as he should have. But those two were a good pairing.
Excellent. Best coach?
Best coach. I'll go with my dad when I was younger. It started off, my first coach was my mum when I was at Bourne End Junior Sports Club. So I learned a lot of my foundation skills from my mum, and then, which maybe explains a lot about my shooting and my finishing. And then my dad's kind of took on from there when I was at Crystal Palace Academy. So I said, I looked up to my dad and still do, and he helped me a lot.
And they both come to games quite often. Is it good having your parents come down to the games supporting you? Yeah,
it is. Yeah, the support that they've given myself and Sam has been like unbelievable. They come to every game. If they're not on holiday, they'll come to every game. If it's Tuesday night away at Havant and Waterlooville, they'll be there. and it does help. Yeah, knowing that they're there gives you that extra little boost, and they've done that throughout both Sam and myself's career. So
excellent. Right, let's get down to this one's coming. Who gets most drunk on a team night out?
I think we're all as bad as each other. When all the lads are together, normally on a night out, who would be the most drunk? We'll go with. No, I can't think of one. Maybe because I've had a few too many myself to even remember. But yeah, I can't pick anyone out on that.
Not Ben Harris again then.
No, not Ben.
Okay, some quick fire ones. Minder or Only Fools and Horses?
Only Fools and Horses.
Ooh. Best band you've seen live?
Boys to Men.
Ooh. And if you could be on any TV program, what TV would you like to be on?
TV program. My favourite TV. Oh, do you know what? SAS. I'd like to challenge myself on the SAS. When I see that,
you'd want to go through that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Maybe not all of it, just some of it. If I could pick and choose some of the activities, but no, yeah. SAS.
Okay. One of the final ones that I want to ask is, what would happen next season if the playoffs happened and you get promoted? Would you stay at Slough if you were in the National League and you've got all that long travelling? Is that something that you're happy to do?
Yeah, I've always wanted to play at the highest standard that I can. Obviously, playing football is a short window. So for me, if it meant having to only play one season at that level, and I know obviously it's a huge commitment, and what with a young family, but again, they're really supportive, and I think they'd appreciate the hard work that we've gone through to get to that standards. They'd allow it to happen. I'm sure it is a huge commitment, like you said, because some of the travelling is ridiculous, and I'd love to be able to test myself at that level.
Okay. I just wanted to go back to something that you said about the FA Cup. Fans mostly don't realise it because they take cup runs, I guess, in theory for granted. But for some of you guys playing non-league, like you said, you could go a whole 18-year career and never get to the first round of the FA Cup. That must mean, when you did that must have meant so much to you in your career.
Definitely. And playing the qualifying, is it the fourth qualifying round before that one? I think it is. Put even more pressure on me. I didn't say that to anybody, didn't mention it, but knowing that what was on the other side, or what was happening after that final whistle, it meant a lot. So, yeah, I've got some older friends who have retired now, and unfortunately never managed to get to that level. That round. So to be able to say that I've done it and even gone one further, 2 years in a row is pretty special.
You do know, obviously, that Slough have never in their history got to the third round proper of the FA Cup.
Yeah. I am reminded of that, especially because I've had a couple of chances within both games as well. But yeah.
And what would you prefer if you had a choice? FA Cup third round or win promotion to the National League?
Bear in mind that I've just said about playing at the best level. I think I'd still go with the third round to be in the draw to potentially be playing against your boyhood kind of role models. Third round FA Cup I'll go for.
Okay. One last question. It's one that we've asked all the guys so far, from Chris from behind the goal. He said, would you rather fight 10 duck-sized Kings Lynn players,
right,
or one Kings Lynn-sized duck?
I would go with the 10. Yeah, I fancy the smaller ones, not the big one.
Because you're almost the same height.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Thanks for joining us this evening, Lee. It's been great chatting to you.
Welcome.
Wish all the best to your family and your wife on your baby due.
Thank you very much.
Like I say, when you see your in-laws, please say hello for me, because
Will do.
they always listen and want to shout out. Thanks for joining us this evening. Stay safe, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see us all back on the football pitch.
Brilliant. Thanks, Aid.
Cheers.